Alright, so welcome. So for this video, I'm going to do a review of Empires of the Void 2. Now, I plan to do a how to play video eventually for this game. But I finally played half of this game, got through a game playing half of this game. So I know pretty much everything I need to know to play this game, with the exception of maybe some minute details here and there. But I know how to play the game pretty well now. This is a super fun game, and so for this video, I'm going to do a review of it, talking about all the cool things, or at least some of the really cool things I like about this game, Empires of the Void, including some of the mechanisms in this game as well. So let's get started. So, first thing I wanted to talk about was the 5 playable races. Most of them being, of course, aliens. And so the first one here is the 7th Academy of... I'm just going to pronounce it as Egg. Or Eeg. Anyways, this particular alien race is a frog folk type of humanoid. So that's really cool. Of course I'm going to like them a lot because they're frogs. I like frogs. But this is definitely... my most favorite of the alien races that you can play as. Another thing I want to talk about before moving on to the other races we have in this game, the other aliens, there are going to be buildings on your player board here, 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 and here, 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 and here. So the academies are going to be here. There's going to be 4 of them. The bases are going to be here. There's 4 of them. The cities are going to be here, and there's 4 of them. Now, this is command slots. And as you build academies, they will be taken off of your player board. And this symbol here is victory points, okay? And this is a command nodule, if you will. In order to move around space... because this is a space game. In order to move around space and do a variety of different things in this game, you need to have command available to do it. Every time you move from one planet, like let's say here, to here, it's going to take a command away. If you move here to here, it's going to take a command away. So every time you move to an adjacent area, it's going to take a command away. And so it limits how far you can go on a turn. Now, with that said, in order to get your command back, because you start here, you have to take an action called refresh or scavenge in order to get the cube that you've been using for all the command back to here, so you can obviously, start doing some cool stuff again. So you're limited to your command nodules here to what you can do on your turn, obviously. But if you build a lot of academies, then you'll have access to more command. So that's something you're going to want to do. But in order to build a building, you only have 3 to 4 slots for each of the races here. You only have 3 or 4 slots. So you can only build 3 buildings on your world ship. So here's the world ship for the frog folk, the Academy of Eeg, okay? So whenever you build a building for a world ship, it's just going to go here in your player board. Obviously, there are definitely more than 3 buildings. There's actually 3 different kinds of buildings, of course, but there's, 12 buildings, and they're all not going to fit here on your world ship. So that means you're going to need to be able to build buildings on the planets, okay? That's really cool. But in order to build a building on a planet, you have to control it, okay? Now, you can control these uninhabited planets, these smaller planets here, for pretty easily without any conflict. But there's only so many of them, so if you want to really... And you usually can only put 1 building per planet. Anyways, usually you can only put 1 building on a planet, which means if you're playing with other players, you're only going to be able to get a couple of buildings on these uninhabited planets anyways, which basically forces you to attack other alien worlds. So these bigger ones that are in the game, if you're going to want to unlock a lot of the potential of your gameplay, you are going to have to attack at least a couple of these inhabited worlds for sure. But with so many to choose from, alien worlds wise, choice is really up to you who you want to attack and who you want to ally yourself with. So definitely maybe pick your favorites. Some players might attack so that way they can get their base on the planet's surface, but then ally themselves with the planet after they've attacked them. That is something you can definitely do. But if you have any influence on a planet already, meaning you've allied with them, if you have any influence on a planet and you decide to attack them, then all the influence you had with them is now gone. They were perfectly happy being your friends and allowing you to be in orbit of their planet, but as soon as you touch down on their planet, they take that as a threat. You're no longer friendly with them because you're attacking them. So that's what you get for whenever you want to try to visit the surface of a planet. You're going to end up attacking them. And if there are benefits, lots of benefits, including victory points, for attacking them. So you definitely want to do that, but you don't want to attack everybody in the galaxy. Certainly not. You definitely want to ally yourself with some of the different alien races, for sure. You can't be friends with everybody. And just like in most alien-type TV series and movies, some of the aliens get along with other aliens, but some of the aliens do not like other aliens. Like, for instance, Measle 3 here, the Mazrons here, from Measle 3, they do not like the Tanfoons from Tanfu. And the Tanfoons, which are lizard people, by the way, do not like the inhabitants of Measle 3. So these two are always going at it, whether you ally yourselves with one of them or attack one of them. They are always going at it at each other. They're having their own little private mini war with each other anyways. So if you try to befriend one of them, it is possible to befriend both of them, but a lot of the things that you can do for them are going to put you at odds with the other planet. So if you ally yourself with Tanfu, there's a good chance that Measle 3 will not like you. If you ally yourself with Measle 3, there's a good chance that the lizard people here on Tanfu are not going to like you. And so you can kind of pick and choose who you want to basically ally yourself with, or depending on what cards you get that can help you befriend them a whole lot easier, obviously. You might have to do that. Like, for instance, I definitely wanted to ally myself with Tanfu, but the way it turned out was I ended up allying myself with Measle 3, just because of the cards that I drew allowed me to make friends with Measle 3 a whole lot easier than it did with Tanfu. And my opponent, well, he was actually befriending Measle 3 very well, but then he did a card that helped out these Tanfoons here, the lizard people, and he lost all of his influence on Measle 3 in the process. And then I had some influence already on Measle 3, so I ended up being allied with them in response to that, and I lost my influence on Tanfu because of that. So sometimes your opponents will do something that will affect you, even though they didn't really directly attack you or something like that. So there's a lot of controversy for sure with all the different aliens in this game. Lots going on for sure. So, but like I said, you're going to want to build buildings on other planets, and so that means you're going to have to conquer some planets if you want to unlock some of this extra stuff, including extra victory points as well. Now, the amount of cards, which are action cards and various other types of cards you can have in your hand, usually you only can have 3 in your hand, but you're definitely going to want to get more. And the only way to do that, though, is to build bases either on your world ship, which is recommended, or on other planets. So you're going to want to do that too. You're definitely going to want to increase your hand limit. Another thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to increase the amount of income you make. And every time you build a building, which costs money, by the way, every time you build a building, you are going to get access to greater income in the process every time you build a city. So that's something else you're going to want to do. So you're going to want to do all that, but there are other things you can do too. You can get these goods. There's 3 different types of goods that you can get, and let's see here. We got some right here. We have artifacts, and then we have life forms, and then we have metal. These are the 3 different types of goods that you can get in this game, and what they're good for is actually for your tech tree on your player board. You can put them here, for one thing, to decrease the cost of your buildings when you build them. They're going to, normally, you have a building here, your very first building here on the Academy, you're going to have to pay 3 plus 2 plus 2 credits, which is 7 credits in order to build an Academy. But if you have a good here, you now have 3 plus 2, which is 5, to build your first building. So you can make the buildings cheaper by putting goods here. Now, normally, once you put a good on one of these 3 locations, you can't put 2 different types of goods in the same row here. So now I can't put artifacts there because I've got life forms here. But that's okay, because since there's 3, you can just put all 3 here in the tech tree for building the various buildings and making them cheaper. Then we have technology. Each player gets, their own different alien race or humans to start with, and they also have some technologies available to them as well. Some of them are similar to others. I think cloaking and warbots, pretty much everybody has that. But some of these other ones here are unique to each of the different factions. And so, in order to unlock these technologies, which do a variety of different things, you're going to have to pay a particular type of good. So for these 2, it would be artifacts. For these 2, it would be life forms. And for these 2, it would be metal. And then you have to discard a card with at least a power of 3 or a power of 2. Now, you can discard more than one card. If you have like 3 cards, each with a power of 1, then you would have to discard 3 of them with a power of 1 as well in order to put a good down, which would be artifacts here for cybernetics, for instance. Or, World Ship Lab artifacts, but you'd have to have a power of 2. So you have to discard, obviously, cards, which you can use as actions, and among other things. But you can also use the cards for your technology, and you can use the cards also for when you're attacking other planets. You'll be using cards as well. So you'll be using cards quite a bit. There are lots of cards in this game that you'll be like, oh, I want to use that as an action. But maybe you're going to end up having to use it as an attack, especially if somebody attacks you. Now, that's where this game is really cool. So when your opponent attacks you, if you are the defender and you win the battle, so if your opponent attacks you, you're the defender, you win the battle, you get a victory point, which is really cool. Of course, if you are the attacker and you win the battle, you also get a victory point as well. So that's why you'd want to battle each other, because you can get a victory point even if you're the defender. So there's a positive note to getting attacked. If you manage to defend yourself well, you'll get a victory point in the process. Now, another cool thing about getting attacked is when you get attacked, if you lose the battle, you don't lose really anything. The only thing you lose in a battle is, your group that gets attacked. So let's say your world ship here was attacked by the enemy. You lost the battle, or you're the one that was attacking, your opponent, and you lost the battle. You then have to flee that location. So wherever you're on the board, you have to flee to a safe location. Okay? So that's the only thing that happens. You don't lose any of your units that were involved in the battle. That's really cool. So you don't have to worry about units getting eliminated or killed or destroyed, because there's machines and things like that, which is nice. Or for that matter, ships getting destroyed. You don't have to worry about that either. But with that said, that doesn't mean your units are 100% safe. And with that said, in this game, there are various events, event cards here, and there's a whole bunch of different events that can happen. But basically, there's one event per planet that might randomly show up through the game. And once it happens, they each have a whole bunch of awesome different effects, some good, some not so good. This one here, Deep Fungus, is definitely not that great. So it says, a dreaded fungus that is nearly impossible to destroy has emerged from the forest. This is the effect. Any group that moves out of Emrock gains 1 fungus token. Each time a group with a fungus moves, before they start to move, roll a die. If 4+, 1 unit is destroyed. If the group battles with another group, that group also gains a fungus. So basically, misery loves company. So, like, if you go to Emrock, let me find Emrock here. If you go to Emrock, it happens to be on the bottom, practically. Here's Emrock. If you go here, and this is the event that's in play, once you go here, you automatically get that fungus token. So let me show you the fungus token. I grabbed one. You automatically get this. With this effect in play, every time you move, meaning every time you leave this planet and go to another planet, or just simply another location in space, you're going to have to roll a dice, and if it's a 4 or higher, you're going to lose one of your units. They're going to die from the fungus. So that means you can lose units in this game. You just don't lose them in battle. You lose them to deadly fungus, and maybe some other things that could happen too with some of the other events as well. But that's just something that's interesting about this game. But because you don't want to be miserable on your own, you can use this deep fungus to your advantage. You can go and battle somebody else, and whether you win or lose the battle, that opponent of yours will also be plagued with the same fungus that you are. And so then they will also possibly start losing, obviously, units. But you'll still have it yourself. But like I said, misery loves company. And so with this fungus, misery definitely loves company. So you can use that to your advantage, perhaps. Or maybe you were already on the planet, and then the event goes into effect, and now you're like, oh, darn it, I got this fungus. Maybe you weren't even much for attacking other opponents, but now you've got it. So now you're like, well, it's in my best interest now to attack my opponents, even if I have no chance of winning, because now they're also going to get this fungus. So that's just one of the many missions in this game that definitely is really interesting. And there's a lot more unique events out there. Some good, some bad. So that's another thing I really liked about this game, was that particular event. So obviously I like the frog people a lot. Then we have the parasites of Screech. These are my second favorite alien race. They are really cool. I don't usually like insects, but insects in space are pretty cool. Then we have the Oracles of Zun. Now, the Oracles of Zun, this was my opponent when I played the game by myself. The Oracles of Zun. It was a pretty cool game. These aliens here, it looks like their entire planet is covered in these purple crystals, with the exception of, even their city is made out of the crystals, but they have like a force field on their suit of armor. How's that for technology? Their entire suit of armor here is covered in a force field. That's really cool. And their ships are very force fieldy for sure. They even have an energy matrix which makes them strong defenders. And they have warp technology as well, so you can unlock their warp technology to warp to other planets, or their energy matrix to make you a strong defender. So if you're not the sort of player to attack a lot of opponents, maybe this would be the faction for you, because now you've got a stronger defense with these guys, possibly. So that might be the alien race for you guys, if you're a defender or a turtler. Now, here we have the Legions of Decima. They're next on the list. They're sort of like a robotic-type alien race, although I don't think they're fully robotic. Maybe they're kind of like the Daleks from Doctor Who, where they're organic inside of their suit of armor, or something like that. But still pretty cool. And then, of course, we have the Nomads of Earth. My least favorite. So all those are all the factions, all the alien races that you can play as, and you can have up to, obviously, have up to like 4 or 5 players. So someone's going to get stuck with the humans, but maybe somebody likes the humans. I don't know. Now, Amrock has an alien race that sort of looks like a furry creature. Kind of reminds me of like maybe the Ewoks on Endor. Amrock, Endor, furry creatures like Ewoks. Not exactly like Ewoks. They sort of look like some sort of wolf or maybe a fox or a kangaroo or something like that. They sort of resemble that. So that's one of the alien races in the game. Then we have Korzar, which is a pretty reddish, lush, reddish planet. Lots of bizarre plants by the looks of it on this planet. Also, from what I understand, there's lots of insectoids that are pretty dangerous on this planet too. But the alien race that lives here are cyborgs. So half machine, half, humanoid. Then we have Volca 7. This is for experienced players, so you'll not play with this particular planet unless you've played this game a lot. But this planet cannot be allied with whatsoever. It is controlled by machines, drones, and they pretty much hate all organic life. But it was once home to a great civilization, so that's all that remains, are their machines. Then we have Arzos here. Arzos, this planet, the race that live here are like rocks. They're rock humanoids. They're like completely rock. So that's pretty cool. Or geodes or something like that. So they're pretty cool too. Then we have Corlozon. Now, I'm not exactly sure what aliens these Varisians are, because they seem to be wearing a suit of armor. But apparently this is a planet that's home to many different alien species on this planet. A lot of aliens got stuck here. A bizarre melting pot of species from the far reaches of the galaxy. A wormhole nearby spits out lost ships from all quadrants. So there's a lot of aliens there. Silas, I'm not exactly sure what aliens these are, but there's not that many of them left. They were wiped out by a disease. So there's only a few thousand of these Celastians left. Then we have Sentina. These Sentians, they really care about their environment. They also really care about their wildlife, like, for instance, this sea serpent here. They're all about trying to bring back lost species back to their world. They're trying to basically bring back animals that are extinct back to their planet. So that's pretty cool, and they seem to be aquatic-like, for sure. Most of their planet is underwater. Then we have Measle 3. Now, this planet is a toxic planet. They've polluted their planet so bad that the entire atmosphere is completely toxic. But they've adapted for survival on this planet. And as you can see, they sort of have reddish skin. So obviously they seem to have adapted to this planet quite well. But obviously they're an industrial society. Then we have Tanfu. Now these guys are reptiles, reptile humanoids. So of course these are going to be my favorite planet. This is definitely going to be my favorite planet to visit, for sure. Then we have Tanlok. The aliens that live here are are definitely telepathic. They have the ability to read minds, obviously, and they have the ability to also wipe minds as well. They live in seclusion and prefer to read their books in utter silence and far away from other aliens. And so it's little wonder why people come and visit them, and if they do, they probably have no memory because their memories were probably wiped. And then that's all of the different planets in this game. But you're only going to play with 8 of them. So this planet, Korzar, and this planet, Volca 7, I didn't play with when I played the game. So I didn't have Korzar in the game. So that's another thing. So you're not going to play with every single planet when you play this game. So there's definitely a lot of variety here in this game. There's a lot of variety in planets. There's a lot of variety in aliens. There's a lot of variety in missions and actions and events. There's so much going on in this game. So the only downside maybe is the length of time it takes to play this game and the length of time it takes to set up. It probably took me an hour to set up. Although it was my first time setting up, I would expect, though, that it would probably take at least 30 minutes to set this game up and probably take a few hours to play. So this is definitely a long game for sure, which is why it's not my #1 most favorite Red Raven game, because it's obviously takes a long time to set up, takes a long time to play, and probably is going to take a long time to teach. But that set aside, this is an awesome, awesome game. I absolutely love this game, and I hope to do a how-to-play video on this game at some point. But I just thought I'd share some of the things that are really cool about this game with you and sort of just talk about some of the different mechanics in the game. So thank you guys for watching this review, and I will see you guys again next time.